you going? Oh,
Okay. Okay. Let's see here. All right, everybody. Good evening. Here we go. We're on chapter 64, Deliverance of King Nrga. And we're covering some wonderful ground here.
I thought it was 63. Lord Krishna fights with Banasura, or am I
That just
wrong?
happened, didn't it? Yeah.
I don't see you with it. There's no video.
The fight with Banasura. I thought we read that.
I'm
Let's
just
go back.
looking. I'm just looking at your YouTube channel
Yeah,
quickly.
see if that's right. I think it is. I've read it. I mean, maybe it's
No,
just
no, no, no. We did 61 and 62 last week, so we're
okay.
on 63.
Okay, perfect. Well, I didn't
So we're going
study
to do
that.
63 and
I thought we
64.
already read that one. I don't know why. Maybe because I
That's
already
it.
read it.
Because you were studying it,
There you go.
ready for tonight.
All right. Well, chapter 63 then. And we'll start out with pranams as usual. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Prasthaya Buddhaya, Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Namane. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gaudavani Pracharane, Nirvishesha Shinyavari Paschachari Shatari. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasri Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om
Om
Namo
Namo
Bhagavate
Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya. Om
Om
Namo
Namo
Bhagavate
Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Vasudevaya. Jai. So, okay, well, we're going to read this one then, which is chapter 63. Lord Krishna fights with Banasura. I don't know why I thought we already read that. I guess I just read it. Let's see what happens here. All right. Sukadeva Goswami said, O descendant of Bharata, the relatives of Aniruddha, not seeing him return, continued to lament as the 4 rainy months passed. After hearing from Narada the news of Aniruddha's deeds and his capture, the Vrishnis, who worship Lord Krishna as their personal deity, went to Sanitapura. With Lord Balaram and Lord Krishna in the lead, the chiefs of the Satvata clan, Pradyumna, Satyaki, Gada, Samba, Sardana, Nanda, Upananda, Bhadra, and others converged with the army of 12 divisions and laid siege to Banasura's capital, completely surrounding the city on all sides. Banasura became filled with anger upon seeing them destroy his city and suburban gardens, ramparts, watchtowers, and gateways. And thus he went out to confront them with an army of equal size. Lord Rudra, accompanied by his son Kartikeya and the Pramatas, came riding on Nandi, the bull carrier, to fight Balaram and Krishna on Bana's behalf. A most astonishing, tumultuous, and hair raising battle then commenced, with Lord Krishna matched against Lord Sankara and Pradyumna against Kartikeya. Wow. Lord Balaram fought with Kumbanda and Kupakarna, Samba and Bana's son, and Satyaki and Bana. Brahma and the other ruling demigods, along with the Siddhas, Charnas, and great sages, as well as the Gandharvas, Apsaras, and Yakshas, all came in their celestial airplanes to watch. With sharp pointed arrows discharged from his bow, Sargna, Lord Krishna, drove away the various followers of Lord Shiva, Bhutas, Pramatas, Guyakas, Dakinis, Yatudanas, Vetalas, Vinayakas, Pretas, Matas, Pishachas, Kushmandas, and Brahma Rakshasas. Lord Shiva, wielder of the trident, shot various weapons at Lord Krishna, wielder of Sangha, but Lord Krishna was not in the least perplexed. He neutralized all the weapons with appropriate counterparts. Lord Krishna counteracted a Brahmastra with another Brahmastra, and a wind weapon with a mountain weapon, a fire weapon with a rain weapon, and Lord Shiva's personal Pushpa Patastra weapon with his own personal weapon, Narayanastra. After bewildering Lord Shiva and making him yawn with a yawning weapon, Lord Krishna proceeded to strike down Banasura's army with his sword, club, and arrows. So who would like to pick up at 15?
I will then.
Yeah, go
I
ahead.
will.
We'll pass it around.
Well, Vamsi's only just arrived.
That's all right.
Unless Jai Krishna does. Does Jai Krishna want to?
No, he said he didn't want to read.
Okie dokie.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Okie dokie. 15. Lord Kartikeya was distressed by the flood of Pradyumna's arrows raining down from all sides, and thus he fled the battlefield on his peacock as blood poured from his limbs. He was on a peacock. That's cool. Kumba, Kumbanda and Kupakana, tormented by Lord Balaram's club, fell down dead. When the soldiers of these two demons saw that their leaders had been killed, they scattered in all directions. Banasura was furious to see his entire military force being torn apart. Leaving his fight with Satyaki, he charged across the battlefield on his chariot and attacked Lord Krishna. Excited to a frenzy by the fighting, Bana simultaneously pulling taut all the strings of his 500 bows and fixed 2 arrows on each string. And on, I've got some pictures here I've got to go past. Sorry. Here we go. Lord Sri Hari split every one of Banasura's bows simultaneously and also struck down his chariot driver, chariot, and horses. The Lord then sounded his conch shell. Just then, Banasura's mother, oh, his mother's coming to save him. Kotara, every soldier thinks of his mother, he's dying in the foxhole. He always thinks of his mother, isn't it? Oh, mum, help me, mum, help me. And he's bleeding away from some, IED or something. Kotara, desiring to save her son's life, appeared before Lord Krishna, naked and with her hair undone. Lord Gadagraja turned his face away to avoid seeing the naked woman, and Banasura, deprived of his chariot, his bow shattered, took the opportunity to flee into his city. After Lord Shiva's followers had been driven away, the Shiva Dwara, who had 3 heads and 3 feet, pressed forward to attack Lord Krishna. As the Shiva Dwara approached, he seemed to burn everything in the 10 directions. Seeing this personified weapon approach, Lord Narayan then released his own personified fever weapon, the Vishnu Dwara. The Shiva Dwara and Vishnu Dwara thus battled each other. The Shiva Dwara, overwhelmed by the strength of the Vishnu Dwara, cried out in pain. But finding no refuge, the frightened Shiva Dwara approached Lord Krishna, the master of the senses, hoping to attain his shelter. Thus, with joined palms, he began to praise the Lord. The Shiva Dwara said, I bow down to you of unlimited potencies, the Supreme Lord, the super soul of all beings. You possess pure and complete consciousness and are the cause of cosmic creation, maintenance, and dissolution, perfectly peaceful. You are the absolute truth to whom the Vedas indirectly refer. Perfectly peaceful, and we've just had Lord Krishna's just been battling in the middle of a fight, killing everyone, and he's perfectly peaceful.
It's funny.
Time, fate, karma, the jiva, and his propensities, the subtle material elements, the material body, the life air, false ego, the various senses, and the totality of these as reflected in the living being's subtle body. All this constitutes your material illusory energy, Maya, an endless cycle like that of seed and plant, I take shelter of you, the negation of this Maya. With various intentions, you perform pastimes to maintain the demigods, the saintly persons, and the codes of religion for this world. By these pastimes, you also kill those who stray from the right path and live by violence. Indeed, your present incarnation is meant to relieve the earth's burden. I am tortured by the fierce power of your terrible fever weapon, which is cold yet burning. All embodied souls must suffer as long as they remain bound to material ambitions and thus averse to serving your feet. The Supreme Lord said, O three-headed one, I am pleased with you. May your fear of my fever weapon be dispelled, and may whoever remembers our conversation here have no reason to fear you. Thus addressed, the Maheshvara Dvara bowed down to the infallible Lord and went away. But Banasura then appeared, riding forth on his chariot to fight Lord Krishna, carrying numerous weapons in his 1,000 hands, O king. The terrible, infuriated weapon shot many demon shot many arrows at Lord Krishna, the carrier of the disc weapon. As Banu continued hurling weapons at him, the Supreme Lord began using his razor-sharp chakra to cut off Banasura's arms as if they were tree branches. Lord Shiva felt compassion for his devotee, Banasura, whose arms were being cut off, and thus he approached Lord Chakra Yudha, Krishna, and spoke to him as follows. Shall I pass that over?
Yeah, Bouncy, you want some of that?
We'll be
Thank you so much, Dandot Pranam.
34.
Yes. Sri Rudra said, You alone are the absolute truth, the supreme light, the mystery hidden within the verbal manifestation of the absolute. Those whose hearts are spotless can see you, and you are uncontaminated like the sky. The sky is your navel, fire your face, water your semen, and heaven your head. The cardinal directions are your sense of hearing, herbal plants, and hairs on your body. And water-bearing clouds, the hair on your head. The earth is your foot, the moon your mind, and the sun your vision, while I am your ego. The ocean is your abdomen, Indra your arm, Lord Brahma your intelligence, the progenitor of mankind your genitals, and religion your heart. You're indeed the original Purusha, creator of the worlds. Text 37. Your current descent into the material realm, O Lord, of unrestricted power, is meant for upholding the principles of justice and benefiting the entire universe. We demigods, each depending on your grace and authority, developed the seven planetary systems. 38. You are the original person, one without a second, transcendental and self-manifesting, uncaused. You are the cause of all, and you are the ultimate controller. You are nonetheless perceived in terms of the transformations of matter affected by your illusory energy, transformations you sanction so that the various material qualities can fully manifest. O Almighty One, just as the sun, though hidden by a cloud, illuminates the cloud and all other visible forms as well, so you, although hidden by the material qualities, remain self-luminous and thus reveal all those qualities along with the living entities who possess them. Their intelligence bewildered by your Maya, fully attached to children, wife, home, and so on, persons immersed in the ocean of material misery, sometimes rise to the surface and sometimes sinks down. one who has attained this human form of life as a gift from God, yet who fails to control his senses and honor your feet, is surely to be pitied, for he is only cheating himself. That mortal who rejects you, his true self, dearmost friend and Lord, for the sake of sense objects, whose nature is just the opposite, refuses nectar and instead consumes poison. I, Lord Brahma, the other demigods, and pure-minded sages have all surrendered wholeheartedly on to you, our dearmost self and Lord. Let us worship you, the Supreme Lord, to be freed from material life. You are the maintainer of the universe and the cause of its creation and demise. Equipoised and perfectly at peace, you are the true friend, self, and worshipable Lord. You are one without a second, the shelter of all the worlds and all souls. This Banasura is my dear and faithful follower, and I have awarded him freedom from fear. Therefore, my Lord, please grant him your mercy, just as you showed mercy to Prahlad, the lord of the demons. The Supreme Lord said, My dear Lord, for your pleasure, we must certainly do what you have requested of us. I fully agree with your conclusion. I will not kill this demonic son of Virochani, and I gave Prahlad Maharaj the benediction that I would not kill any of his descendants. It was to subdue Banasura's false pride that I severed his arms, and I slew his mighty army because it had become a burden upon the earth. This demon, who still has 4 arms, will be immune to old age and death, and he will serve as one of your principal attendants. Thus, he will have nothing to fear on any account. Thus, attaining freedom from fear, Banasura offered obeisances to Lord Krishna by touching his head to the ground. Bana then seated Aniruddha and his bride on their chariot and brought them before the Lord. At the front of the party, Lord Krishna then placed Aniruddha and his bride, both beautifully adorned with the fine clothes and ornaments, and surrounded them with a full military division. Thus, Lord Krishna took his leave of Lord Shiva and departed. The Lord then entered his capital. The city was lavishly decorated with flags and victory arches, and its avenues and crossways were all sprinkled with water. As conch shells, anakas, and dundubi drums resounded, the Lord's relatives, the Brahmanas, and the general populace all came forward to greet him respectfully. Text 53. Whoever rises early in the morning and remember Lord Krishna's victory in his battle with Lord Shiva will never experience defeat. Hare Krishna.
Wow. I need to read that one every day in the morning. That's wonderful. So we have another chapter, chapter 64. Do we want to move on to that one, to the deliverance of King Nrga? It's just a short one. I think there's 30 verses there. You want me to, Rawati, are you with us? Do you want to read, or you just listening? It's up to you. And we can read some more. It's 30 verses here. Well, I'll tell you what, I'll take the first 10 and we'll pass them around, okay? All right. So text 1, Sri Bhadrayani said, O king, one day Samba, Pradyumna, Charu, Banu, Gada, and other young boys of the Yadu dynasty went to a small forest to play. After playing for a long time, they became thirsty. As they searched for water, they looked inside a dry well and saw a peculiar creature. The boys were astonished to behold this creature, a lizard who looked like a hill. They felt sorry for it and tried to lift it out of the well. They caught onto the trapped lizard with leather thongs and then with woven ropes, but still they could not lift it out. So they went to Lord Krishna and excitedly told him about the creature. The lotus-eyed Supreme Lord, maintainer of the universe, went to the well and saw the lizard. Then with his left hand he easily lifted it out. Touched by the hand of the glorious Supreme Lord, the being at once gave up its lizard form, assumed that of a resident of heaven. His complexion was beautifully colored like molten gold, and he was adorned with wonderful ornaments, clothes, and garlands. Lord Krishna understood the situation, but to inform the people in general, he inquired as follows: Who are you, O greatly fortunate one? Seeing your excellent form, I think you must surely be an exalted demigod. By what past activity were you brought to this condition? It seems you did not deserve such a fate, O good soul. We are eager to know about you, so please inform us about yourself, if that is, you think it's proper time and place to tell us. Sukadeva Goswami said, thus questioned by Krishna, whose forms are unlimited, the king, his helmet as dazzling as the sun, bowed down to Lord Madhava and replied as follows. Who would like to read there? That's 10.
Yeah, I'll take it. Do
Okay.
you want to read, Bhagavatam?
Tell me what that one word is.
Which word?
First sentence.
King Nrga.
Not that. Now, King Nrga said, I am a king known as Nrga, the son of, that's the word.
It's vacuum.
Ishvaku.
Ispaku.
Ishvaku.
Ispaku. Perhaps, Lord, you have heard of me when lists of charitable men were recited. What could possibly be unknown to you, O Master? With vision undisturbed by time, you witness the minds of all living beings. Nevertheless, on your order I will speak. I give in charity as many cows as there are grains of sand on the earth, stars, and in the heavens, or stars in the heavens, or drop of rain shower. Young, brown, milk-laden cows who are well-behaved, beautiful, and endowed with good qualities, who are all acquired honestly, and who have gilded horns, silver-plated hooves, and decorations of fine ornamental cloths and garlands. Such were the cows, along with their calves, that I gave in charity. I first honored the brahmanas, who were recipients of my charity, by decorating them with fine ornaments. Those most exalted brahmanas, whose families were in need, were young and possessed with excellent character and qualities. They were dedicated to truth, famous for their austerity, vastly learned in the Vedic scriptures, and saintly in their behavior. I gave them cows, land, gold, and houses, along with horses, elephants, and marriageable girls with maidservants, as well as sesame? Okay.
Yes.
Gold, fine beds, clothing, jewels, furniture, and chariots. In addition, I performed Vedic sacrifices and executed various pious welfare activities. Once a cow belonging to a certain first-class brahmana wandered away from and entered the herd. Wandered away and entered my herd. Unaware of this, I gave that cow in charity to a different brahmana. When the cow's first owner saw her being led away, he said, "She is mine." The second brahmana, who had accepted her as a gift, replied, "No, she is mine. Nrga gave her to me." As the brahmanas argued, each trying to fulfill his own purpose, they came to me. One of them said, "You gave me this cow," and the other said, "But you stole her from me." Hearing this, I was bewildered. Finding myself in a terrible dilemma concerning my duty in the situation, I humbly entreated both brahmanas, "Will you give 100,000 of the best cows in exchange for this one? Please give her back to me. Your good service should be merciful to me, your servant." I did not know what I was doing. please save me from this difficult situation, or I'll surely fall into a filthy hell. The present owner of the cow said, I don't want anything in exchange for this cow, O king, and went away. The other Brahmana declared, I don't want even 10,000 more cows than you are offering. He too went away. Okay. Someone want to take over?
Oh, okay. All right. Who's next?
Well, you can read a minute. Now, there's only about 10 more to go.
Okie dokie then. So we're up to 22. O Lord of Lords, O Master of the Universe, the agents of Yamaraj, taking advantage of the opportunity thus created, later carried me to his abode. There Yamaraj himself questioned me. Yamaraj said, My dear king, do you wish to experience the results of your sins first, or those of your piety? Indeed, I see no end to the dutiful charity you have performed, or to your consequent enjoyment in the radiant heavenly planets. I replied, First, my lord, let me suffer my sinful reactions. And Yamaraj said, Then fall. At once I fell, and while falling, I saw myself become a lizard, O master. O Kesava, as your servant, I was devoted to the Brahmanas and generous to them, and I always hankered for your audience. Therefore, even till now, I have never forgotten my past life. 26. O mighty one, how is it that my eyes see you here before me? You are the Supreme Soul, whom the greatest masters of mystic yoga can meditate upon within their pure hearts, only by employing the spiritual eye of the Vedas. Then how, O transcendental Lord, are you directly visible to me, since my intelligence has been blinded by the severe tribulations of material life? Only one who has finished his material entanglement in this world should be able to see you. O Devadeva, Jagannath, Govinda, Purushottama, Narayan, Rishikesh, Punyashloka, Achyuta, Evyaya. O King, please permit me to depart for the world of the demigods. Wherever I live, O Master, may my mind always take shelter of your lotus feet. I offer my repeated obeisances unto you, Krishna, the son of Vasudeva. You are the source of all beings, the supreme absolute truth, the possessor of unlimited potencies, the master of all spiritual disciplines. Having spoken thus, Maharaj Nrga circumambulated Lord Krishna and touched his crown to the Lord's feet, granted permission to depart. King Nrga then boarded a wonderful celestial airplane as all the people present looked on. The Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, the son of Devaki, who is especially devoted to the Brahmanas and who embodies the essence of religion, then spoke to his personal associates and thus instructed the royal class in general. Does someone else want to take over? There's probably about 10 left or something. Yeah, there's 10 left.
Vamsi, you want to try again?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. I had to take care of my son, so I
Yeah,
lost
no
track
problem.
a little bit.
That's okay. We can, you want to read or shall we?
Yes, Prabhuji. I can. So, can you tell me where to start up again?
Ranga, where's he at?
32.
Um, yeah, I stepped out. Hold on, I'm just getting there. 32. Hold on. Krishna. Sorry for losing
Take your
track
time.
here.
Okay.
Deliverance of King Nrga, and 32. Yes, I'm there.
Okay.
Lord Krishna said, "How indigestible is the property of a Brahmana, even when enjoyed just slightly and by one more potent than fire. What then to speak of Krishna who try to enjoy it, presuming themselves lords? I do not consider halal to be a real poison because it has an antidote, but a Brahmana's property, when stolen, can truly be called poison, for it has no antidote in this world. Poison kills only the person who ingests it, and an ordinary fire may be extinguished with water, but the fire generated from the kindling wood of a Brahmana's property burns the thief's entire family down to the root. If a person enjoys a Brahmana's property without receiving due permission, that property destroys 3 generations of his family, but he takes it by force or gets the government or others outsiders to help him usurp it. Then 10 generations of his ancestors and 10 generations of his descendants are all destroyed. Members of the royal order, blinded by royal opulence, fail to foresee their own downfall. Childishly hankering to enjoy a Brahmana's property, they are actually hankering to go to hell. For as many years as there are particles of dust touched by the tears of generous Brahmanas who have dependent families and whose property is stolen, uncontrolled kings who usurp a Brahmana's property are cooked along with their royal families in the hell known as Kumbhi Paka. Whether it be his own gift or someone else's, a person who steals a Brahmana's property will take birth as a worm in feces for 60,000 years. I do not desire Brahmana's wealth. Thus, those who lust after it become short-lived and are defeated. They lose their kingdoms and become snakes who trouble others. My dear followers, never treat a learned Brahmana harshly, even if he was sinned. If he attacks you physically or repeatedly curses you, always continue to offer him obeisances. Just as I always carefully bow down to Brahmanas, so all of you should likewise bow down to them. I will punish anyone who acts otherwise. When a Brahmana's property is stolen, even unknowingly, it certainly causes the person who takes it to fall down, just as the Brahmana's cow did to Nrga. Having thus instructed the residents of Dwaraka, Lord Mukunda, purified of all the worlds, entered his palace. Hare Krishna.
Wow. It's pretty intense. Kumbhipaka, Taptakurmi, Creamy Boja, all these places you can go in the hellish worlds for doing these things. Previous yugas, if you go back to Satya Yuga and Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, and now we're Kali Yuga, if you were performing a sacrifice and one thing was left out of the sacrifice, the whole thing was ruined. It was a failure. So there's stories you can read, even in the Ekadasi Vrata stories, about a Brahmana who wasn't qualified, who was doing the puja in this king's kingdom, and the whole thing was spoiled. The king was wondering, why do we have drought? Why do we have pestilence? Why, everything is not going well? Why is that? We're doing all this service. And he actually left for the forest, and he went and found, it might have been Kashapa Muni or somebody. He came upon in the forest, and he asked him, he said, what is going on? And the sage sat down for a second, and he thought, you have an unqualified Brahmana in your group doing the puja. So he said, I'll immediately kill him, but he didn't want him. I don't think he wanted him to be killed. He just wanted him to be removed from that position. And then everything was restored. So here's the problem. It's unlimitedly nuanced. It's unlimitedly, hard to understand. I mean, even the implications of karma, they're unlimited. It's like these computers that are built today. They can do millions of calculations literally in 1 minute. It's not a problem. They're just like that. But that's nothing compared to Krishna's mind. That's nothing. That's artificial, as a matter of fact. They call it artificial intelligence for a reason. It's not real. But Krishna's mind never forgets anything. It records every single thing. It's always there. And everyone is given their just due, whatever that is, whatever they deserve, whatever they've earned. And if they have some punishment, Krishna's there. And that punishment is not there in a vindictive way. That punishment is there in a very positive way, because by punishing the individual soul, he doesn't forget the pain of doing something wrong. It's just like they say, spare the rod, spoil the child. Now, we saw this thing with Dr. Zeus, or I don't know what his name was. Maybe it wasn't Dr. Zeus, but it was somebody who was a doctor, said, don't punish the children. Don't correct the children. Don't do that. Normally, you don't have to punish. In India, they have a monkey stick, but they're never hitting the monkey. They're just showing the stick, right? And that is enough for the monkey to correct its action. So in the same way with the child, it's not necessarily, for to do so much capital punishment, but it's to show that there are implications to their activities and let them find out the result of their activities so they don't grow up and deviate from society and the principles of ethical and moral behavior and cause other people lots of pain and suffering and grief, like we're seeing today. We're seeing that the jails are full of those people who didn't get any education, and therefore they're out just exploiting others. So part of that exploitation is this great sin of stealing. If you go into the Vedas, you'll see that stealing and lying and coveting someone else's property or lusting after another man's wife or any of these things that you can just read on down, including sloth, sleeping too much, too little, gluttony. You can see that some people overeat and they become very sick from that. It's also a form of abuse to one's own self. And so the idea is there are threefold miseries, right? The miseries caused by one's own self is a huge part of those threefold miseries. And so what we've seen here is this king, Nrga, who was a lizard because he had made a mistake. And look at how innocent that was. He gave the charity and he still got his punishment as a lizard in the bottom of the well. Can you imagine how this could happen? Well, it was designed to be there so that he could also be saved. And simply by Krishna reaching in and taking him out, he became his original demigod form. So some of these actions are to show the Lord is liberating us as well. But threefold miseries start with activities that cause oneself pain and suffering. Just wrong action. They say that when you go to jail, you could tell the judge all you want, I didn't know the law. And the judge will say, yes, but it's your job to know the law. That's no excuse. So there's no one here learning the law, virtually no one here. So not very many people are interested in following, carrying out, executing the will of God or following the law. Matter of fact, they'd rather not think about it. They'd rather just shuffle it under the rug and not worry about it. But these stories bring out the details of someone's karma and how that karma can affect you in an amazing way. And just think, he says that he has to listen to this. He said, anyone who lusts after a Brahman's wealth his desires become short-lived and defeated. They not only lose their kingdoms, but they become snakes, which simply trouble others. Wow. And even if a Brahmin were to treat you harshly, even if he sinned and done something wrong, a sinful act, even if he attacks you physically, even if the Brahmin repeatedly curses you, your job is to continually offer him repeated obeisances. So see, this is the thing. If we stay humble, in the eyes of God, we'll be rewarded later, right? The pure at heart shall see God. That we know, or we've heard that one, right? But in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Namam duskritino mudha, which means that those miscreants who are grossly foolish, those mudhas, he says, prapajante naradhana, they don't actually surrender. And because their knowledge is being stoled by mayaya pritagya, in other words, their jnana, their knowledge is stolen by illusion, and they partake of asuram bhava masrita. They actually take part in the activities of the demons, asuram bhavam asritaha. So that's the problem. And these people never surrender to the Lord. They have no interest in surrendering to the Lord because they're bent on the destruction of the world for the sake of their own sense gratification. In modern society today, for $20, they'll kill you to get a drug fix, just to get a temporary high for a few moments. Your life is only worth that temporary high. So Krishna says in 522, Yehi some spark to ya boga, dukkha yona ya evate. In other words, an intelligent person does not ever take part in the sources of these misery, which are actually due to a person connecting the senses with the sense objects. And because these, it says, because these pleasures do have a beginning and they do have an end, and they implicate the person who's actively involved, the wise man does not take part in them. Natesu namate buddha. Buddha means intelligence. So a person with intelligence does not want to take any part in those type of activities because those activities do not reward happiness, but lead to degradation of the soul. So that's pretty wild that you can see that in the Kali Yuga, we're given a great boon, And that great boon is yes, you're a sinner. Yes, you're making mistakes. Yes, you're not fully Krishna conscious. Yes, there's a million reasons why you should actually probably not get the mercy of God. Let's be honest. And why we should all have to go to some place like these hellish places like, what was the name of that one that we were just talking about? Not Creamy Bojan. It was one of those. Anyway, there's a lot of hells. You can read about them in the fifth chapter, and it actually tells you what activity will get you to that hellish planet. Kumbhipaka, yeah. So yeah, and in that place, that's a very hellish place. What happens there? We just read what happens there. What is it? Well, it says that when a person steals from a brahmana, it says there's no antidote for that poison that he has drank. And it kills only the person who ingests it. So if the person ingests that, he kills himself. Not only that, but he destroys his family roots and down to how many generations it said? 10 generations of descendants are all destroyed. And it says that anyone who wants to do this, hankering after Brahman's property, they're actually hankering to go to hell. That's what they want to do. And he goes on to say that the particles of dust touched by the tears of a generous Brahmin, because they're crying out of compassion for these souls who need the help. It says that these people who've done that are cooked along with their royal families in the hell known as Kumbhipaka. Cooked. It doesn't sound very attractive. Mm-mm. I don't think you want to go there. So you better be nice to the Brahmins, right? Krishna, he actually worships the Brahmins. And he says he doesn't accept any offering that's not offered to the mouth of the Brahmins. So if you're cooking something you offer to the Lord, it should go also to the Brahmins first. Brahmins are the head of society, small percentage compared to the Kshatriyas, the warriors and the administrators, and um, the Vaishyas, who are the merchants, and the Sudras, who are the common laborers. So they're the intelligentsia, and they're the ones who are versed in Shastra, and they know what to do and what not to do. And that is yoga. Yoga is yama niyama. What do you do? What not to do. You got to know what to do. You got to know what not to do. So even this Brahmin, it seems like Nrga, King Nrga, was actually trying. He wasn't doing anything wrong, but because there was some inequality in that situation, and it caused an unresolved dispute between two Brahmins, the Lord didn't intervene. He didn't intervene. He just let it play out. And in that situation, he was able to save the king. It's a very cool story. So, any questions about that story, or any issue with that story, or anything you guys want to add to that story? Just some thoughts that I had about it. Any other?
Prabhuji, I was thinking about um, like from externally, when you look at it, we feel that this king was harshly treated because he was giving charity, and it was without his knowledge that the cow came back to the herd that he was giving out. It was no fault of his, but then you understand the nuances of material energy and karma. So you can take up the path of philanthropy and think you can go back home. The only way is devotional service, because everything else is so binding, and you get into greater trouble if you're just doing it for the sake of like name, fame, or adoration, and not to serve the Lord.
Very good point. Very good point. Yeah, Krishna says in 7:25 in Bhagavad Gita, is a really good verse. Naham prakasya sarvasha yoga maya samanbritaha. What he's saying is he never manifests to these grossly foolish and unintelligent people. He says he's covered by his eternal potency known as Maya, and the deluded world, as a result, knows him not. So the idea, only by this devotional service can he be known as he is standing before you, and in this way can be seen directly. Bhaktya Twana and Yaya Sakya, Krishna is saying. So if you want to go back home, you want to be forgiven of these sinful activities, then just surrender to the Lord and follow his will as diligently as possible. That's known as devotional service. That's very pleasing to the Lord, and he's very happy about that. But if a person just acts independently, deviates from the will of the Lord, concocts his own idea of what should be done, all of these things are being recorded, and those are your responsibilities. That becomes the responsibility of the individual. And Krishna says he has never manifested these foolish and unintelligent people, and the deluded world knows him not as a result of that. So, pretty intense stuff if you stop and think about it. And in those other yugas, Satya, Treta, Dwapara yuga, before Kali Yuga, it's very, very, very difficult. Everything has to be perfect. If you read back even on the Ekadasi Vratas, you'll see that some of them are very, very elaborate. They require lots of ingredients. You have to go collect all these ingredients. That's part of the devotional process. You have to bring it together. You have to do certain puja. You have to set it up in a certain way. You have to offer it certain types of things like the sesame seeds that Bhavananda wrote about a minute ago. Sesame is very auspicious, by the way. There's what is that one Ekadasi? It's what is it? Satpala, or something like that.
Satila.
Satila, right? Satila Ekadasi. I'm sorry, Satila Ekadasi. That means Ekadasi. I mean, that means sesame. So offering the Lord sesame, offering paste, all kind of stuff, foodstuffs with sesame, and very auspicious. So okay, so that was a very good point. We just got to see the inner workings of the karma of this great king Nrga, and we got to see what happened to him and how he was delivered by the Lord. Very interesting story, no doubt. Okay, so
Another
yeah.
another contrast is this Banasura. He is living a demonic life, and he even wanted to fight the Lord, but then the Lord showed his mercy to him because his devotee requested. That's Lord Shiva, and the Shiva Jwara, the weapon, all were praising the Lord and worshiping him and requesting that he does not kill Banasura. So I guess what we can learn from that is, like, if we get into the good books of a devotee, if they request the Lord, even though whatever you did, whatever big criminal you are, the Lord is willing to forgive you. But this Nrga, who was seemingly very great charitable person, he had to go through all the pains of being a lizard. But the Banasura wasn't killed. I think out of his 1,000 arms, 4 arms were left,
Yep.
and he was saved by Lord Shiva requesting the Lord for mercy.
Well, it was not only that. You might remember that he was in the family of Prahlad Maharaj. So as a result, Krishna had made a promise that he wouldn't kill his descendants, even though they're born in Asura's family. So that's another point. That's another good point. So yeah, well, he saved him there, and he did take care of him, left him with 4 arms like Narayan at least.
It just makes me think how strong Maya is and how powerful Kali Yuga is. When you stop and think about it, I'm really speaking to myself rather than to all of you, but all we really require in Kali Yuga is observe the 4 regular principles, chant Hare Krishna, chant 16 rounds a day. And when you think about it, it's really not a lot. And a person like me makes it so complicated, like you were saying in other ages, even for the sesame seeds. I mean, so many things have to be offered. Such a process. There's mantras for everything. And here now in Kali Yuga, you say, look, just chant Hare Krishna, follow these 4 regular principles. And damn it, it's just, I can't even do that half the time. And that bothers me when I'm listening to these stories, how a great king became a lizard. I mean, then I'm doomed. And I
Well,
say
no,
that
you're not.
in a
You're not
metaphorical
doomed.
way.
You're not doomed at all. And the reason you're not doomed at all is because the holy name itself is the Yuga Dharma. And so the holy name should be in an endless cycle in the back of your mind. If you like nice kirtan, sometimes that kirtan can lock in your brain and you find yourself just chanting a melody or something all the time. It's going on all the time. That holy name is alleviating you from your sinful past and present reactions. So the idea now you don't do it as a committing offense against the holy name, like, oh well, now I've got a way out. I'm going to go ahead and do all kind of nonsense because I know I can chant. But there's an old prayer by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. It says something about. I wish I had it with me to read to you. I should have prepared it, but I didn't. I didn't think about it. Beautiful prayer. It's like, are you committing offenses against the holy name? Chant anyway. Are you inattentive while you're chanting? Chant anyway. Do you have all material desires while you're chanting? Chant anyway. Whatever it may be, whatever your particular mental concoction to try to enjoy the material world is. By the way, it's all a mental concoction because there's no real enjoyment in the material world. It's an endlessly mutable situation. One minute it looks wonderful, the next minute it's full of disease and misery. So that's the way of the material world. And the first chapter we read about Banasura and that battle, that covers it pretty good because Lord Shiva and Krishna had a nice conversation. I want to cover just that a little bit before we go on because we're already at 7:56. But we'll go back to that chapter before, and it says, do you understand that though? What I'm saying, Jai Krishna, I want you to understand that that's why Prabhupada said that the Yuga Dharma is chant and be happy because by chanting, you're curing all of these ailments, not only for yourself, but for everything that's within earshot. And that sound
Yeah,
vibration goes,
I understand.
yeah, yeah,
I was just saying that when I said doom, I probably am anyway.
yeah.
But my point is just it's so simple. Four regs and chant, and sometimes for me, I get complicated in the stupidity of life, and here it's so simple.
Yep.
But
It's as
I
simple.
make it complicated.
It's
I
as
make it
simple.
complicated.
It's as simple as it can be. As a matter of fact, the demigods are all envious of you. And the reason they're envious of you is because you have an opportunity to do these simple things that Prabhupada has established as our mission to please Krishna. And one of them is chanting Hare Krishna, the other's taking only prasadam, the other's following regulative principles of freedom. And that sets you free of any karmic reaction by following those principles. And in doing so, you're liberated. You are liberated. And you're under the protection directly of Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda and the spiritual master. So there's really no issue at all. And that's why the devotees feel bliss. They actually feel bliss, happiness, because they're free of all fear and of all suffering. Now, if you willfully disobey the will of God and you think that you're going to be absolved by the chanting of the holy names or whatever that is, that's chanting with offenses. However, if you can only chant offensively, you should still chant. There's no time where you should not chant. You should continue to chant. Krishna was even careful about that in Bhagavad Gita. He said, it doesn't matter. If you have all material desires or no material desires, you should come to me for them. Always come to me for anything. And we look into Bhagavatam over and over and over again. And here's the story of Banasura demon. And he's blessed by the Lord. And so, because he's always meditating on the Lord, his mind is always fixed on the Lord. That's the whole idea behind that. So when Balaram and Krishna and the lead chiefs of the Sattva clan, they came to Banasura's capital and they laid siege to the capital surrounding Banasura's city, it says. And Banasura was angry about that because he saw his whole beautiful town getting destroyed. And of course, Rudra or Shiva, and they all came to fight. And this is pretty cool, man. You don't hear about fights between Shiva and Krishna. You really don't, do you? If there's some stories in here about Shiva and Krishna coming together a few times, and I wish that the Shaivite community could hear these stories in Srimad Bhagavatam because it gives you a really good picture of how Shiva feels about God, how he feels about Krishna, and how he sees himself in the same situation. That he is an expansion of the Lord's ego. He even calls himself that in this chapter, that he is the Lord's ego. So let's look down here and see if we can find some of those points that I wanted to bring out to you. But anyway, Lord Shiva during this time, he's the wielder of the trident, and he shot various weapons actually at Krishna, who is the Saranga bow, but it didn't perplex Krishna. He neutralized all the weapons. He counteracted the Brahmastra with a Brahmastra. He sent a wind weapon with a mountain weapon, fire weapon with a rain weapon. He did all kinds of stuff. He even counteracted Pashupatastra, which is the Shiva's personal weapon, and he did it with the Narayanastra. He counteracted it. So in every case, he actually finally made Shiva just start yawning. He sent him a yawning weapon. You imagine Shiva just yawning, he can't fight, he's tired, right? So Krishna destroyed Banasura's army, and pretty crazy stuff. So he killed Kumbanda, Kupakarna, and tormented by Lord Balaram's club, they fell down dead. So once the demons saw that all the leaders had been killed, of course, they scatter. That's just like rats. So Banasura was very unhappy, saw his military, everything torn apart. And he was excited to a frenzy by the fighting. Wow. So he sends 500 arrows fixed. Wow. At one time. And not only did Lord Krishna Sri Hari split every one of Banasura's bows simultaneously, struck down his chariot driver and his horses and all of that. So Banasura was utterly defeated here. So his mom runs out to the battlefield, naked. Man, you women are willing to do whatever it is to save your boy, So she must have been disheveled, but she's running out to save him with her hair undone. She didn't care what condition she was in. She just wanted to save him. And so I thought that was pretty good. So after Shiva's followers had all been driven away, the Shiva Jwara, who had 3 heads and 3 feet, he wanted to press forward and attack Krishna, but he seemed to burn everything in ashes as he was doing. But Lord Narayana released his own personified fever weapon, the Vishnu Dwara, and the Shiva Dwara and the Vishnu Dwara battled each other. Isn't that wild? But the Shiva Dwara was overwhelmed by the strength of the Vishnu Dwara and cried out in pain, couldn't find any refuge. So then what did he do? He couldn't find refuge. He joined his palms together and started to praise the Lord. Now, come on. That's what we're supposed to be doing. Join your palms like this and start praising the Lord. That's the answer, because then the Lord is favorable. So he starts doing all kind of wonderful prayers to the Lord, talking about time, fate, karma, talking about subtle material elements, material body, life, air, false ego. He's talking about all these things, material energy, Maya. He says it's like an endless cycle of the seed and plant. So he started to take shelter of the Lord. He says, you also kill all of those who stray from the right path and live by violence. Now, in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that for those who do not follow and are not faithful to the path of yoga, they cannot attain me, but return to repeated birth and death in the material world. Krishna said that in Bhagavad Gita, y'all. So here's what's happening. It's being confirmed here by the Shiva Dwara, who's doing these wonderful prayers, the energy of Shiva. He said he's been tortured by the pain of the Lord, and therefore he wants to serve the Lord. He said, so the Lord says, "Oh, 3-headed one, I'm pleased." So he says, may whoever remembers our conversation have no reason to fear you. I thought that was nice. So the Maheshvara Jara bowed down to the infallible Lord and then went away. But Banasura appeared. He wanted to fight. He's on his chariot. He's coming up to Lord Krishna. He's got numerous weapons in his thousands of hands, and we know what happens. So the Lord begins to chop off all his arms with his Sudarshan. And Lord Shiva felt compassion for his devotee Banasura, all of his arm being cut off. So he goes to Krishna and speaks to him and follow. This is Shiva praying directly to Krishna. You can recite this to anybody you know that wants to know a little bit about Shiva. And it says here, Sri Rudra said, you alone are the absolute truth. You are the supreme light. You are the mystery hidden behind the verbal manifestation of the absolute. Those whose hearts are spotless, they can see you. For you're uncontaminated like the sky. Like I said, pure hearts shall see God. So he goes on through this manifestation. He starts listing the ways that we can understand and see Krishna. He says the sky is your navel, fire your face, water is your cement, heaven is your head. The cardinal directions of the sense of hearing The herbal plants are the hairs on your body. It goes on and on. The earth is your foot, the moon is your mind, the sun is your vision. I am your ego. That's what he says. While I am your ego. So Shiva is the ego of God. Now we know. The ocean's your abdomen, Indra's your arms, Lord Brahma is your brain, your intelligence, progenitor of mankind are your genitals, and religion is your very heart. So you are indeed the original Purusha, creator of all the worlds. So Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita 9:11, Avajananti Mamudha Manusham Tanam Ashrita. Parambhavam Majananto Mama Bhuta Maheshwaram. The fools, they're the ones that deride me when I descend in my human form. They don't know my transcendental nature, my supreme dominion over all that be. So Shiva's setting the record straight. He's doing a good job. And Shiva actually, he more or less fits the verse in 9:14 in Bhagavad Gita because he says, Krishna says, Satatam Kirtayanto Mam Yatantas Chadridhavrata Mamasyantas Chamambakya Nitya Yukta Upashate. And that means that if you're always chanting my glories and you're always endeavoring with great determination, you're always bowing down before me, you are a great soul and you perpetually worship me with devotion. He's going to take care of you. For those who worship him with devotion, meditating on his transcendental form, he carries what they lack and preserve what they have. So in this particular verse, I really think it's pretty cool because Shiva is explaining exactly who the Lord is. And he goes on to talk about those living entities who, as intelligence is bewildered by your Maya, they are fully attached to children, wife, home, and so on. These persons are immersed in the ocean of material misery. Sometimes they rise to the surface, but sometimes they sink back down. So we don't want to keep going through this cycle of samsara, this wheel of samsara. This human form of life is a gift from God, according to Shiva. And you should not fail to control your senses and honor the feet of the Lord. Because if you don't, you're surely to be pitied because you're cheating your own self. It's like the ass, the mule ass. Did you know what it does? It goes and eats thorns. And it's chewing the thorns, its mouth, its gums are bleeding, its tongue is being punctured. And he's thinking, oh, delicious, this is very juicy fruit. So Prabhupada gave that example that we're drinking our own blood. I mean, literally, we're eating our own flesh. I mean, we're the Rakshasas ourselves, and we're devouring ourselves when we do this. So the mortal, Shiva says, the mortal who rejects you, his true self, which you are, his dearmost friend, which you are, for the sake of some temporary sense object, and refuses the nectar, and instead he consumes poison. Consumes poison. So that's why we don't want to do that. He says that Krishna is the shelter of all the worlds and of all souls. And he, of course, then begs for Banasura, said, don't hurt him anymore. He's my friend. He's a devout worshiper. And he says, this is where I got this. He said, therefore, O Lord, please grant him your mercy, just as you showed mercy to Prahlad, the Lord of the demons. So that's when the Lord says, well, my dear Lord, he's talking to Shiva, for your pleasure, we must certainly do as you've requested. And I fully agree with your conclusion. How could God disagree with God? God don't disagree with God. Even though they had a nice fight, it was just for Shiva's benefit, really. And it was just for the pastimes of the Lord to enjoy those pastimes. And he has to do that every once in a while with Indra. He goes to Brahma. He goes to Shiva. He goes to the demigods in the material world, right? So he does say that the demon now only with 4 arms is immune to old age and death, and he'll be one of your principal attendants. You don't got to worry about it. Nothing to fear on any account. So the Lord heads back to the city with Aniruddha and his bride, and they got fine clothes and ornaments, and they're looking good, and they're surrounded by a full military division. And thus Lord Krishna took his leave from Lord Shiva and departed. They entered their capital city, lavishly decorated, victory arches, flags, avenues, sprinkled with water, everything very nice, conch shells blowing, doon doobie drums beating, right? So all the respective population came forward to greet the Lord. So if you just remember this story in the morning, you rise early and remember Lord Krishna's victory on his battle with Lord Shiva, you will never experience defeat. So get busy. All right, we've been defeated by Kala yet again. It's 8:12. So it's time for us to sign off. Our time is done. But I want to thank you so very, very much for being with us tonight. And if there's any questions or comments, please ask them. Otherwise, we are going to sign off this evening. Anything else?
When we was reading that first chapter, I was thinking, because I was just before it came on, I was talking to someone who gave me a call, and I was explaining how God has all these different faces, so that he can attract different people. You know, the Islam, Christianity, Judaism, all these, they see God's different faces. And I was reading this one and I thought, what a fantastic face this is for anyone who loves war and blood and guts and all that. There's Krishna and Balaram just battling away using all these weapons that we've never heard of. We haven't got any experience in these weapons that they use as well. So many weapons used in this battle. And they were having a grand time just whooping the arse off these demons and that. And I was thinking how that attracts certain people. And then we immediately go to Vrindavan with the cow herd boys for some reason are looking down into a well, as probably boys do, because they're probably exploring the well. And they find a lizard. You know, that is such a boyish sort of thing to do. And then we have these other pastimes with the gopis and the parents in Vrindavan. So many different faces of God to attract us.
Yep, absolutely. And you know, when Krishna entered the arena in Mathura, remember when he killed Kamsa, that all the people saw him differently. Everybody saw Krishna in a different way, and some people, you know, the ladies were all like blushing, and they were, you know, their dresses were loosening, and their hair was falling down, and you know, so they saw Krishna in that way, whereas the demons saw him as ultimate death and fear, and they could feel that from Krishna. So these, on one hand, you got these ladies who are just like amorous affection, and on the other hand, you got this impending doom that the demons are feeling. So that's a million miles apart. You know what I'm saying? But in between, there's all these other ways that people look at Krishna. You know, they look at God in different ways, and He accepts your service in any way, even if you're a demon. He still accepts your service. Not a good way to go. Not recommended. I'd say that's a very dangerous path. Very dangerous path. But you should, by all means, always meditate, never forget Krishna, and always remember Krishna. That is actually the bottom line of everything that we teach. Never forget Krishna, and always remember Krishna. So if you can at least do that, either by chanting the holy names like Jai Krishna and I were talking about, or if you can do it in another way, whatever it takes. It's like Chanakya Pandit said, get ghee, whatever it takes, you know. So in the same way, we need to get Krishna, whatever it takes. So thank you so much, guys, for coming tonight. Really appreciate it. Repeat after me. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna.
Krishna Krishna.
Krishna
Krishna
Krishna.
Krishna.
Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare Rama.
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Hare Rama.
Hare
Hare
Rama.
Rama,
Rama
Hare
Rama.
Rama
Rama
Rama,
Rama.
Hare Hare.
Rama
Hare
Hare
Rama.
Hare.
May you all be
Hare Hare.
blessed, and Krishna confer all his blessings on you and your family. Please pray for Gayatri Dasa. Jai Srila Prabhupada.
Jai.
Krishna.
Yeah.
Hare
Tomorrow
Hare.
is Ram Navami, so happy Ram Navami.
Woo! Let's
Yeah.
make it happen. Yeah, Ram Navami. That's wonderful. Thank you so much. See you next time, guys.
Thank
Hare
you.
Bol.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Bol.